In the mid-19th century, the United States was a nation divided, a house split against itself. On one side, a booming industrial North, on the other, an agrarian South built on the institution of slavery. This wasn't just a political disagreement. It was a deep cultural chasm that would soon erupt into the deadliest conflict in American history, the Civil War. This is the story of how brother turned against brother and how a nation was forged in the fires of the first truly industrialized war. Before the first shots were fired at Fort Sumter, the seeds of conflict had been sown for decades. The core issue was slavery. The Southern economy was inextricably linked to the labor of enslaved African Americans, a system they fiercely defended as their way of life. The North, while not free from racism, was increasingly home to a powerful abolitionist movement demanding an end to this brutal institution. Tensions escalated with every new territory added to the Union. Would they be free states or slave states? Compromises like the Missouri Compromise and the Compromise of 1850 were just temporary fixes, delaying the inevitable. Events like the Dred Scott Supreme Court decision, which denied citizenship to African Americans, and John Brown's raid on Harper's Ferry, an attempt to start a slave insurrection, pushed the nation to its breaking point. When Abraham Lincoln, a candidate for the new anti-slavery Republican Party, was elected president in 1860, the South saw it as a direct threat. One by one, 11 Southern states seceded, forming the Confederate States of America. The stage was set for war. The American Civil War was a brutal awakening to a new era of combat. It was the first major conflict to feel the full impact of the Industrial Revolution. Gone were the days of smoothbore muskets and orderly lines of battle. The rifle musket, with its grooved barrel, allowed soldiers to hit targets with deadly accuracy from hundreds of yards away. This simple change made traditional frontal assaults suicidal, leading to staggering casualty rates. Railroads became the arteries of war, transporting thousands of troops and tons of supplies faster than ever before. For the first time, armies could sustain massive campaigns deep in enemy territory. The telegraph was the war's nervous system, allowing Lincoln and his generals to coordinate movements across a vast continent in near real time. On the seas, wooden ships gave way to ironclads, like the famous duel between the USS Monitor and the CSS Virginia. These technological leaps didn't just change tactics. They fundamentally transformed the scale and lethality of warfare, foreshadowing the global conflicts of the 20th century. At the outset, both the Union and the Confederacy believed the war would be short. Both were wrong. The North's strategy, known as the Anaconda Plan, was to use its superior navy to blockade southern ports and seize control of the Mississippi River, slowly strangling the Confederacy. The South, on the other hand, adopted a defensive strategy, hoping to wear down the North's will to fight and gain recognition from European powers like Britain and France. The early years were marked by major Confederate victories in the East, under the brilliant command of General Robert E. Lee. Battles like Bull Run and Chancellorsville were devastating defeats for the Union. However, in the West, Union forces under generals like Ulysses S. Grant were making steady progress. The turning point came in July 1863. In the East, the Union Army repelled Lee's invasion of the North at the Battle of Gettysburg, the bloodiest battle of the war. Almost simultaneously, in the West, Grant captured the fortress city of Vicksburg, giving the Union complete control of the Mississippi River and splitting the Confederacy in two. From this point on, the tide had turned decisively in the Union's favor. The war was not just fought on battlefields. It was a total war that reshaped American society. For the soldiers, life was a grueling mix of boredom, terror, and hardship. They endured long marches, poor sanitation, and inadequate food. Disease killed twice as many men as combat did. Back home, life was transformed. Women on both sides took on new roles, running farms and businesses, working in factories, and serving as nurses, forever changing perceptions of their capabilities. In the North, the economy boomed to meet the demands of the war machine. In the South, the Union blockade caused severe shortages of everything from salt to medicine, leading to widespread suffering and starvation. The most profound social change was Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation in 1863. While it didn't immediately free all enslaved people, it reframed the conflict as a war for freedom and authorized the recruitment of African American soldiers. Nearly 200,000 black men served in the Union Army and Navy, fighting bravely for their own liberation and for the soul of the nation. After the turning points of 1863, the end was a slow, grinding, and brutal process. President Lincoln appointed Ulysses S. Grant as the overall commander of the Union armies. Grant understood the North's advantages in men and material, and he initiated a relentless campaign of total war. While he engaged Lee's army in a bloody war of attrition in Virginia, his trusted general, William Tecumseh Sherman, carved a path of destruction through the heart of the Confederacy. Sherman's march to the sea from Atlanta to Savannah was designed to destroy the South's economic resources and its will to fight. He aimed to make Georgia howl. By the spring of 1865, the Confederacy was collapsing. Its armies were depleted, its economy was in ruins, and its people were exhausted. On April 9, 1865, Robert E. Lee surrendered his army to Ulysses S. Grant at Appomattox Courthouse in Virginia. The war was over, but the cost was immense. Over 620,000 soldiers had died, more than in all other American wars combined. The South was left in ruins. The legacy of the Civil War is complex and continues to shape the United States today. It answered two fundamental questions that had plagued the nation since its founding. It preserved the Union as one indivisible nation, and it ended the institution of slavery with the passage of the 13th Amendment. The period of Reconstruction that followed attempted to rebuild the South and integrate 4 million newly freed African Americans into society. However, this effort was met with fierce resistance and a new system of racial segregation and oppression, known as Jim Crow, would emerge, leaving a legacy of inequality that the nation still grapples with. The Civil War was a crucible that forged a new, more powerful, and more centralized federal government. It was the birth of modern America. It stands as a solemn reminder of the cost of division and the ongoing struggle to live up to the nation's founding ideal that all people are created equal. The story of the Civil War is a story of America itself, a tale of tragedy, heroism, and the enduring fight for freedom. Understanding this pivotal moment is essential to understanding the nation today. Thank you for joining us on this journey. If you found this history compelling, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next exploration into the past. See you next time.